Welcome to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, a homeschool mom, entrepreneur, and educator with over 20 years of experience in the areas of elementary and special education. It's my mission to help you create lifelong learners and embrace a holistic approach to education at home. I'll be sharing practical strategies, inspiration, and resources to support your family. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, a business owner, or balancing work and homeschool, you're in the right place to connect with a community that values education just as much as you do. Join us each week as we ditch the stress, embrace the joy of learning, and set your family up for a lifetime of success. Hello, friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Home Education with Ease podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, your home education expert. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. I know that your time is valuable, so important. So you just taking some time to hang out with me means the world to me. Today, we're going to talk about summertime. So I know it's coming up. We are in the month of May. Can you even believe it? So we're going to talk about the shifts that happen for summer and how we can still have a simple summer rhythm that's going to include learning, real life, and if you're a business owner, business without the burnout. We got the kids home. The weather is most likely beautiful, right? More often than not, we want to get outside, but we still want to make sure that the kids are learning, so they're getting some of that learning time in. We also have business tasks if we are business owners. That doesn't stop. And we're moms. We still have life, right? We still have to go grocery shopping, and we still have to clean a house, and we still have to do the laundry and all the things that we do to make the house run smoothly. The CEOs of the home. That's what you are. And you may be the CEO of your home, the CEO of homeschool, and the CEO of your business. So those are three very important jobs. Any of those by themselves are important jobs as well. So we're going to talk about how can we set up some simple rhythms as schedules change without feeling overwhelmed and without being burned out. So I know that I'm excited. I'm excited for summer. I know that Maycember is here, right? We see these all the time, these memes, and they are hilarious. And the Holderson family has a meme out. It's like a song that they come out, and I love it. I actually just shared it to my story today. And it's just true. There's so many things coming up that it's busy like December, but like, and they said in the song was like, but there's no treats, there's no presents, right? But that's okay. We don't need all of that stuff, right? It is just a very busy time. All of the things that are wrapping up throughout the year and then getting ready for the summer. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how the routines are going to shift. Everyone is out of a typical schedule, but how do we set up a schedule that is going to set us up for success and make sure that we all feel like, one, we're all on the same page. I mean, who out there wants to make sure that their family is on the same page as them? I know that I do, because I know that when we're all off and there's miscommunication and there's all these things going on, it's very frustrating. So let's make sure we're all on the same page. Let's make sure the expectations are there. Let's make sure the routine is there. And let's make sure that you have time for you, whether that's time to yourself, which no matter what you're doing, you should definitely get time for yourself. Make sure you have time for your business if you have a business. Make sure that there is time for learning opportunities and life and fun. I mean, that's the most important thing, right? Making sure that we are still having fun in these summer months. So I just want you to know it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to completely do a same routine for school, the same routine that you've been doing for homeschool throughout the whole year. And you don't have to completely stop it. We can find that happy balance. And if you've been with me for a while at all, you know that we just kind of go along with our routine. There are some months when we travel to Pittsburgh, I don't really do as much, but it may not be the typical things that I do whenever we're home, but they are still learning. They are still doing things that I may not do at home. They're going hiking. They are camping. They are making a fire. They are learning survival skills. They are, going to the park, swimming, playing with friends. Like all of these pieces are part of the puzzle. Education is not just our typical or what we would used to think about. Sit down at a desk, read, do your reading lesson, do your math lesson, do your writing lesson. Here's science, here's social studies, and regurgitate it and spit it out for a test. That is not what it's all about. At least that's not what it's about for me. And that is not what it's about for the clients that I work with. Because we want learning to be something that our kids want to do. We want them to be lifelong learners. I just shared today that on my stories, that I had a lymphatic drainage massage, and I've been learning all about my lymphatic system. Now, I didn't learn about that stuff in school. I didn't learn about that in health class, right? So here I am in my 40s learning about my lymphatic system and how can I help it to drain properly. That's still learning. That is still something that is relevant. And I want to be that example for my children that's like, hey, I never stop learning. There's always something new to learn. And guess what? A lot of times things change, right? You can learn something and you can study it, but then new technology comes out or a new study comes out, and then you can learn something new about what you've already learned. So learning never should stop. And that's something that I definitely want our kids to know. I want them to really understand that just because it's summertime, and that's kind of even on our mentality, right? As moms, like whenever it was summer, it was like, we're not learning. We're not doing anything. But now I've retrained myself as well as retrained my children that it's like, even though it's summertime, we still are going to read together. We're still going to practice math together. We're still going to go outside on a nature walk, and we're still going to learn about history. And right? It doesn't have to be at a table, sit down, and be boring. I guess that's the biggest thing. It does not have to be boring. So how can we do that? How do we make learning part of the summer? Well, it just is going to look different. And I want you to remove the pressure of saying that I have to do X, Y, and Z, or I have to make sure they're caught up, or I have to keep up with X, Y, and Z because I didn't finish the curriculum. We need to keep going. Or I need, right? There's so many things. And we're going to talk about the curriculum. I have had some really good conversations with fellow homeschool moms about curriculum. So stay tuned for that, because I think that is going to be a very, very valuable lesson. Whether you are a seasoned homeschool mom or you are just kind of dipping your toes into it, we're going to talk more about that in an upcoming episode for sure. So how can we incorporate learning? Well, you guys know that I'm so big on incorporating it into skills that we're already doing, right? How can we incorporate math and life skills while we're in the kitchen? Fractions, time, reading a recipe, cooking, cutting, all of these skills. Do you want your kids to be independent? Do you want them to be able to cook their own food? You may say yes. I would hope so, right? Yes, we want them to be able to cook their own food, right? But you may be saying, but my kid is a toddler. My kid is, 8 years old, 9 years old. Like, what are they going to do? Kitchen can be a scary place. There's fire in there. There's knives in there. Right? It can be a scary place. Absolutely. But what if we don't make it a scary place? What if we make it very comfortable and we say, yeah, these things are dangerous, but we have to be aware of them. We don't want to be scared of them, but we have to be aware of them. We talk about that all the time, right? So by getting them into the kitchen, even as a toddler, pull up a chair, grab one of those kitchen counter things, right? We had one. I don't even know what they're called, but it's like basically they climb up into it and it has like a railing all around it. So then that way they're not just on a chair, but they are inside this like box and, or inside this like stool, I should say, right? Because now they're counter height and they can cook with you and you don't have to worry about them falling out, because nothing more, you don't want to be cooking in the kitchen and trying to teach them a skill and then still worried about them falling off of the chair. We definitely don't want that. So get them in the kitchen as much as possible. When Ella was 6 months old, her high chair was right there, right beside me. So she was basically counter height with me and she was watching me. We were singing. I was interacting with her. You can start talking to them about the vegetables and the fruit and what are you making? Have those conversations with them. They thrive on those conversations. Don't underestimate our kids. They are absorbing. I talk about it all the time, how much they are a sponge and they are absorbing more than you know. Get them in the kitchen. Even if they're crazy and wild, you have to have those conversations and say, you know what? This is a dangerous space. We have the oven over here. We have sharp objects. If you want to be in here and be mommy's helper, you have to pay attention. And you have to have that serious conversation with them, but still make it a good time, right? And then listen, sometimes as moms, we do not want them in the kitchen, and that is okay. Okay? There are certain times of our cycle where it is like, let me just do it myself. It is quicker. It is faster. It is, I just don't have the patience, right? At that point, go have them read a book. Go have them build a puzzle. Go have them do an educational game, right? Or have dad take them and go do something, right? So it is okay. Give yourself grace and remember that not all weeks of the month, our hormones and our patience are the same. So pay attention to that. If you have low patience, it's probably not the best time to say, yeah, let's do a lesson in the kitchen together, right? But when you do have the patience, when you feel your best, that's when you need to be doing those activities. Get them in the kitchen and cook something. It could be something so simple, right? I showed my kids how to make air pop popcorn. Super simple, but they needed to know how to do it so then that way they could do it on their own, right? So keep those things in mind. The things that we do naturally, we had to learn it at some point. So keep those things in mind. What can you do that's so simple that you can just show them? Maybe it is mixing ingredients together. Maybe it is, right? Just one thing. Maybe you're making, I don't know, guacamole came to my mind. You cut the avocado, but let them stir the bowl. And eventually, they'll be able to do that by themselves. My kids, I asked them, hey, I'm in the middle of work. Daddy's out of town. Can you make tacos for dinner, please? I was up here finishing my work. Alex is browning the meat, throwing taco shells in. Ella's making guacamole, cutting the cheese. Well, she wasn't cutting the cheese. She was shredding the cheese. But, right, you get the point. Like, they have now been able to do those things, and it did not happen overnight. It is something that we worked really hard to do and made sure that they were able to be comfortable and confident in the kitchen. So I talked a lot about the kitchen, but that is something, that is a place where we are most likely 3 times a day, right? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We are in the kitchen. Well, get the kids in the kitchen. Have them help clean up, right? And start putting things at their level. Another place that you can incorporate the kids, and again, remember, if you are not in a great place in your cycle, maybe having them help in the grocery store is not the best idea. I have had to recognize that myself. Some days I'm like, you know what? Stay in the car with daddy. I'm going to go into the grocery store and just shop by myself. And then other days, I have all the patience in the world where I'm like, yeah, here, help me get the things on the list. Let's talk about the budget. Let's talk about how much this item is versus how much this item is. Give yourself grace. Remember that it can look different all the time. Don't force it. Don't overthink it. Don't stress yourself out about it. Enjoy the process, and your kids will enjoy that process too. If you're traveling, summertime, right? You're going to the beach, you're going to the mountains maybe, you're going to see family, wherever you're going, talk about it. Where is that place located? Identify the state, the city, different things like that. How long did it take to get there? There's your geography lesson. That is real life learning, right? You can talk about the history of that area. So for spring break, we went to Sarasota and we went to Savannah. And while we were in Savannah especially, there was so much history there that we would stop and we would read the signs and we would talk about it. Maybe not a ton, but enough to say they're learning about it. And then that way, when we do have an actual lesson about the Civil War, they'll be like, wait a second, I remember when we were in Savannah, X, Y, and Z, right? Keep those things in mind. You can be talking about the oceans, right? We were in Sarasota. Well, we're not in the Atlantic Ocean. We're in the Gulf of Mexico. I almost said the Pacific Ocean. I know we're not in the Pacific Ocean, but the Gulf of Mexico, right? And if we went to the other side of Florida, we would have been in the Atlantic Ocean. And if we flew to California, we would be at the Pacific Ocean. So it's really just taking those opportunities and turning them into real life. And guess what? Those are going to be the things that they remember the most. I actually just saw a reel the other day that it said family vacations are what kids remember the most. Not Christmas, not their birthday, not all the presents, the experiences. And that is what EduPlay learning is built on. It's built on hands-on, play-based experiences. Let's have fun while we're learning and make it relatable. The conversations that you have, the vocabulary, the comprehension, right? We were just doing spelling today, and the word was coral, and we had squabble. I'm trying to think what else. We had frequent, and we had the QU words we were really going over. And they were like, what does squabble even mean? And I knew, but sometimes you don't know how to say it in an actual definition, right? So we looked it up and we talked about coral, and not like coral that you see in the ocean, but like an argument, right? And so then I was also able to expand and say, listen, now that you've learned these words, you can start to say them and you can start to incorporate them into your reading and your writing. And again, it wasn't a long lesson, right? We went over some words, we practiced spelling these words correctly, we talked about putting them in a sentence, boom, we were done. It was 15 minutes, right? It doesn't have to be such a long, drawn-out thing, but it can be meaningful and like really just a good lesson, right? All right. So remember, we're just trying to fit it all in without it like really just taking over. It doesn't have to take over because we all have busy lives. We all have so much to do. And we need to make sure that our kids are learning. So incorporate it into your conversations. The dinner table, the car rides. I talk about this so much because it is so important. And that's something that I really feel so passionate about. So I'm just going to throw this out there. One, if you want to get connected and know more about Home Education with Ease, join the Home Education with Ease Facebook group. I do have a membership coming up, and it is all about that. Moms coming together and just connecting, that community piece to say, you're not alone, and we got this. And I'm right here to walk alongside you every step of the way. And then the other piece of that is we have EduPlay Learning activity kits that's perfect for summertime. You're like, what am I going to teach over the summer? I'm done with the curriculum. I'm not buying a new curriculum, or I'm not buying a full thing, or I don't want to send them to camp. I just want something to do during the day. Well, let's talk about the EduPlay activity kits. They're mostly designed for ages 2 to 7 for what I have created currently. But that doesn't mean that we can't work out something that is specific to your child's needs. So all of these links, a way to get in touch with me, reach out to me. Let's chat more about how we can find something to best fit your family's needs. I'm also going to put a quiz in the show notes below so you guys can fill that out as well as what are your best next steps? What do you need to be, thinking about for the summer and then preparing for the fall as well. So think about it. Like, just slow down. We don't need to recreate a whole school year, right? We don't need to have a perfect plan because every day is going to be different. Our hormones go up and down, and depending on the ages of your kids, their moods are going to be different too, right? So keep that in mind, giving grace, right? And you do not need to compare to other families. If Susie down the street wants to stay full-time doing school and keep her routine, that's fine. If that's what works for their family, that's great. If you feel like that's going to work for your family, then do it. If you're like, you know what, that feels too much. That's how I feel. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to I don't want to feel that pressure. I want my kids to enjoy the time that we have together. I want to enjoy the time we have together. And we're just kind of going to roll with it. We have a loose plan, but sometimes we need to change it up. Sometimes things change, and that's okay. And just kind of have to roll with it. So don't compare your kids to other kids as well. We talked about that a few episodes ago, how some families have endured different traumas in their family, and that could affect where children are, right? And their learning abilities, their emotional, all of those things. So keep those in mind too. We're not comparing to anyone else. Your child is a complete individual, and we are meeting their specific needs. And I don't want you to feel pulled between your kids and your business, if you have a business, or your kids and keeping the house clean. No. We are going to make sure that it all meshes together. So we're going to talk about that. It's not about overdoing it or doing more. It's about doing what matters. It's about what are the things that are the most important right now. I was just talking to a friend, and guys, I don't want to cry because I was very emotional as I was sending this message. But I was talking to her about, she was saying how she went to the beach, and she has a 1-year-old, he'll be 1. He's not even 1 yet. And then a 6-year-old and a 3-4-year-old, somewhere in there, right? A busy time with kids going to the beach, right? When your kids are young, they're mobile, they are running, all of the things. And she had 3 of them, and her husband, right? So as I'm talking about it, I was like, oh my goodness, like, cherish it. Because even though it is hard, even though it is a lot, right? I went to the beach for spring break, and I sat there and I read my book. Now, I definitely engaged with my kids. So I got in the water with them. I didn't necessarily build sandcastles, which I wish I would have, because I saw a mom build an awesome seahorse. And I was like, I wish I was like talented like that. Like, that's just not my creative wheelhouse at all. But my aunt used to make dolphins, and like, it's so cool to me, but it's something that I'm like, that's just not, I'll play in the water with you. And we played volleyball, beach volleyball, all of those things. But I sat there and I read, and they could play in the ocean, and I could keep an eye on them without feeling like I have to be right next to them, or I have to, hold on to them, or right. Like, they are getting to that age where they can hold their own a little bit more. And I started crying because I was like, oh, it goes so fast. It goes so fast. And I miss those moments. I mean, I know it was a lot. I know it was busy, but cherish every single moment. And trust me, I am cherishing these moments right now because I know in 5 to 7 years, it's going to look completely different. So I'm holding on to them. And I just encourage you, just cherish these moments because it is fleeting. And I used to hate when people said that, like, oh, it goes so fast. And I'm like, doesn't feel like it, but it really does when you look at it and you're like, oh man, how are we here? So, all right, cherish those moments. But if you are doing all the things, right? If you're running a business, even if you're not, listen to some of the things here because I think this will really help you, okay? So we often feel like we're being pulled in multiple directions, right? You may be running a business, running the house, and taking care of the kids or educating the kids, right? All of those things. You've got all the things going in all different directions. But oftentimes, what if we were intentional with that time, right? I said that in a strange way. But what if we were intentional, right? Because we often feel like we're pulled in multiple directions, me included, right? That is, I'm saying we as including myself, right? And I remember the days when I would sit down at the computer and say, okay, this is what I'm working on. And then someone needed me, or this is what I'm working on. And I'd get a phone call or, right? So let's make intentional blocks of time. And this is a conversation I've been having with moms, lately, where it's like, yes, what does that look like? So make it simple. It doesn't have to be over complex or we don't have to overthink it, right? But what can that look like? Well, the biggest thing is make intentional time for your kids because they need that. They need you to be present and they need you to be intentional. So set up time in the morning where you are reading with them. Set up time in the morning where you're going to practice math facts or you're going to go on a walk together and you're going to talk about something that you learned about or the trees or the birds, right? Play a game together, a math game, a reading game, a history game, any game, a vocabulary game, a spelling game. Play together. It doesn't have to be a huge lesson. You are just trying to, if you're doing it in the summer, right, and you're not trying to teach more skills, right, you're trying to make sure that they are remembering the skills that they have learned, but also enhancing. I have to say, they are still learning new skills every time you play a game too, right? Every time you read a book. There's new vocabulary, there's spelling, there's a new story and comprehension, right? So don't think of it as they're not learning new things because they certainly are. You guys know that I'm a huge advocate for a chapter book, any kind of a book. Read it together and extract so many skills from that one book. Math and reading and spelling and science or social studies, depending on what you're reading, right? A chapter book can be so beneficial. So just read together and talk about it. And you can even include a writing piece where you have a little journal where I have summer journals and like science, nature journals, things like that, where they can just write in there and they can journal or draw whatever they just learned about. So if you are interested in any pieces of curriculum that I have, send me a message. And I will share the curriculum, the different pieces that I have, journals and different ideas like this or specific ideas. So for your age, your kid's age and what they may be into. So remember, it doesn't have to be a ton of things. It can be small things that are intentional. So the other thing you could do are like crafts and experiments and themed activities. You're going to the beach. Well, let's talk about the beach. You're going to, what else do we have? It's ice cream week. Talk about ice cream, right? Make ice cream together. And if you are like, I have no idea how to pull things together like that, that's where the EduPlay Learning collections come in because everything is themed like that. I have a beach collection and an ice cream collection and a watermelon collection. And we sing and we have movement in there, and we have new vocab words, and we have math activities and reading and stories and experiments and recipes and crafts. So if you are like, hey, I need something for the summer, the EduPlay Learning Summer Activity Kit is where it's at. So definitely stay tuned for that. Look in the show notes for the link or send me a message and I'll make sure that is there for you, because you don't have to figure it all out. I've already done that. I've planned it out. I've mapped it out. We've recorded videos so you can just watch it and just go for it. And then think about this too. Whenever you are trying to work, right? We were talking about moms that work, or even if you don't, right? If you don't have a job or a business, you still have house things to do. You still have to cook dinner. You still have to clean the house or do the laundry or read emails or whatever that may be, run errands, right? So one, if you are doing things that the kids can do with you, include them. Like I said, sometimes it may take longer. Sometimes you don't have the patience for it. But when you do, include them and let them help. Let them help with the laundry. So then that way, eventually, they can start doing their own laundry. Today, Ella needed a shirt for theater. And I said, okay, go upstairs, go switch the laundry. I put it in the washer already. Go ahead and go put it in the dryer. Totally fine. She knows what to do. She did it. She had her shirt for theater tonight. So make them independent and make them capable of doing all of these things. And then the other part is when you do have chunks of time to work, maybe you are a business owner and you're like, great, I've had intentional time with my kids. We read and we played a game, and now I'm going to let them have some free play. Well, now it's your time to work, right? You have filled their cup up and you've had time with them. You were present with them. You did not check your email. You did not scroll, right? You were present with them. Now their cup is full. They can go play for hopefully a half an hour to 60 minutes, right? A half an hour to an hour. And they can just play on their own, or they can watch a show or a movie, whatever it takes, right? Because now this is your time. And you don't have to feel guilty about it because you were present with them. Now take time for you, whatever you need to do, your work tasks, household tasks, running, maybe not running errands without them, but who knows? Maybe your husband's home and you can go run errands, right? Whatever that looks like for you now. And when you are sitting down to do your work, maybe you do have a 2 or 3 hour block. Keep in mind, don't forget to take breaks. Just like our kids need breaks, we need breaks too. Get up every hour and just walk around for a minute. Do some stretches. We don't want to have our shoulders hunched forward. We don't want to have carpal tunnel in our wrist. Do some stretches and give yourself that break. Get some more water. Have an electrolyte drink or some food that is going to fuel your brain, some nuts, or an apple, green apple. Those have been my go-to. Walnuts and a green apple have been my go-to to say, okay, I need something, but I don't want something that's going to cloud my brain or give me brain fog. So I'm going to reach for something like that, whole foods, right? And then I can get back to my work. So sometimes we think a break is putting us back. I don't have time to take a break. But guys, I've learned this the hard way because that was me. I was like, I've got 3 hours. I've got to sit here and I've got to just stay focused and don't get up. And then it was like an hour and a half in, I'm like, whoo, I want to scroll on Facebook for a minute. Guess what? If I just would have got up and gave myself a break, a brain break, got a walk, or got some food to fuel my brain, I could have sat back down, refreshed, ready to go. So don't forget to give yourselves those breaks. And sometimes you can get up and do a load of laundry. So you could be double duty, right, of getting some business in while also getting some house tasks in. So keep those things in mind for sure, that you can be intentional with your time and just have that focused work time, but also that time with your kids as well. And don't forget, in that break time, right, for you. And then even in between, maybe you do have a bigger block, a 3-hour block, right? And you get up the first 60 minutes, you get up and you have a brain break for you. You check on the kids. They're still good. Great. Now you get back to work. And then the next time you get up for a break, maybe you spend some more time with them. Sit down and read a book with them. Sit down and play a game with them. Go outside and write some things on the sidewalk, right? And just enjoy that time with them. Fill their cup up, and then you can get back to work guilt-free and their cup is full. So keeping those things in mind, and then maybe, say, okay, you know what? We had our time. Mommy has her time. Now we're going to have family time in the evening. And whatever that looks like, or the afternoon. Maybe you're going to go to the pool. Maybe you're going to go to the park. Give them something to look forward to. Oh, you know what? We're going to meet up with friends on Tuesday and we're going to go to the trampoline park, right? Let them know what's coming up and say, but mommy's got to get this work done and you need to be a good helper and a good listener, right? Talking them through the whole thing. Remember, they are sponges. They are absorbing more than you know. All right. I think we chatted about all the things. Here is a quick run through of things that you can do for a slow, simple summer routine without burning out. All right. So just kind of a sample here, right? You can have a slow morning. What I like to do, I'll give you my slow morning. What I like to do is I like to sit down and read my devotions. I like to do my workout. And then I like to go for a walk all by myself. I need that time for me before everyone wakes up. And I don't even wake up that early anymore. I used to get up at 5. I get up around 6 now. Now I know some of your kids may wake up at 6. I do understand that, 6 or 7. But this is, again, my kids are getting older now. They don't need me right away, right? But I used to wake up at 5 because they needed me as soon as they woke up. So schedules change. Routines change, right? And we have to adapt for them and for the ages of our kids and what our schedules are like. Then have breakfast together, do an activity together, read together, play a game, have that time together. And then you'll be able to do your work after, right? Whatever that work is. Take those breaks. Have lunch together. Again, more time together. It's not, you want to be present when you have time together. And I like to read after lunch. You can go for a walk and, again, play a game. Like, those things can be on repeat. And it could be the same things. It could be different things. If you need ideas, let me know. I have so many games that we have a whole game closet. So if you do need ideas, let me know. And I can definitely set you and your family up with some ideas for games. And then another time to work in the afternoon. You've filled their cup up, their bellies are full, they're happy. Now you can work again if you need to, or if you had enough time, now maybe you can go to the park or the play date, right? And then after you have that time in the afternoon, then the evening is family time. So this is a very simple routine that can be followed for the summer. And it doesn't have to be strict. It doesn't have to be hour by hour, minute by minute. What exactly are we doing? Just let it flow. Make a list of what you need to accomplish. Make sure that your kids know that. Make sure everyone in your team knows that. Make sure everyone's on the same page, right? We want to make sure everyone's on the same page. But you still need to get your goals done. You still need to achieve your goals, but still need to have that time and be present. You're allowed to be present. You're allowed to be building and achieving goals while you're raising your kids. I know sometimes that mom guilt comes in and it's like, well, I could be doing this. Guys, I've had many episodes where I've shared with you that I have thought of shutting down the business because all I wanted to do was be with my kids. But I knew that I wasn't called to do that. I knew that I was called to run this business while being with my kids. And you can do that. You don't have to do it all at once. You're allowed to create a rhythm that works for your family and compare to no one else. It is for you and your family alone. And I'm here rooting you along every single step of the way. So remember, if you're looking for activities for your kids to do this summer, let's talk about the EduPlay Learning Activity Kit, the summer activity kit. Or I even have just collections that you can purchase individually. The watermelon collection, the beach collection, the ice cream collection. I have so many. I think we have like 50 maybe. There's a ton. So butterflies and rainbows, all of the things. If you are looking for more support and community, reach out about the Home Education with Ease membership. And if you're like, I want individualized help for my family, let's talk about one-to-one support where we can get on a call and talk about everything that's going on in your family and come up with a plan to meet your family's needs. What I would say to you is click the link for the quiz in the show notes below and fill out that quiz, and I will get in contact with you after you complete that, because that will tell us exactly what you're looking for in this moment. But if you already know, send me a message and we will get you on the right track. But thank you guys so much. I am cheering you on every single step of the way. I am right here, and I just am so grateful that you have me in your ear and just listening and joining me each week. So thank you guys so much for being here. Don't forget to join the Home Education with Ease Facebook group if you're looking for community and encouragement. That is the group where we just kind of all come together. The membership is something different. The Home Education with Ease membership is different. But the Facebook group, that is free. You can join that at any time, and I would love to see you there and get connected and tell me what resonated most with you from this episode. What is something that you're like, I am going to implement this summer, and it's going to be a great summer? Well, I hope it is. I'm cheering for you, rooting you on every single step of the way. Remember, see each moment as a chance to learn, create, and have fun. Bye, friends. Thank you for tuning in to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling empowered and ready to take the next steps on your home education journey. Your support means the world to me. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend. For even more resources, be sure to join the free Facebook group, Home Education with Ease, and visit eduplaylearning.com to explore our programs and subscription kits. You can find the links and any other links mentioned in this episode in the show notes below. Remember, you're not alone. This community is here to support you every step of the way.